Welcome back to your Passion, Purpose, and Personal Brand. I'm Lisa McGuire. And I want to start today with something I hear all the time when I ask people the question, what inspired them to start their business? One person said to me recently, I want to help business owners reach their potential. Another said, I help people become memorable, but first they have to know who they are. Now, listen, these aren't noble intentions, but let's be honest, they're also kind of ho-hum. I could throw a rock and probably hit a half dozen professionals saying that they want to help a business owner reach their potential. And that's the problem. Most people present what they do as a performance. Very few communicate who they are in a way that actually resonates. Because here's the truth. Expertise is no longer enough. We can't rely on that anymore. Information is everywhere, credentials are abundant, but what cuts through is resonance. When your content reflects a personal brand rooted in truth. When people feel you instead of just hearing you, that's when you can rise above the noise. So today we're going to talk about what happens when business aligns with your frequency. And I have 3 truths for you. The first truth is this: strategy becomes sacred when it is rooted in truth, when rooted in honesty. Most of us were taught that strategy is about tactics, numbers, funnels, conversion rates, all of those things. They matter, but the strategies that truly transform aren't the ones you pull out of somebody else's playbook. They're the ones that come from knowing your truth and aligning your business decisions with them. Last year I had a client who had been copying the launch formula of a very big name coach whose name you would know. And on the outside, it looked fine. The webinars, the email sequence, the countdown timers. But he was miserable. Nothing about the way he was running their business felt natural. We stripped it back and built his strategy around what they actually valued. Smaller, more intimate workshops, longer-term relationships, instead of those churn and burn sales. And his results, they skyrocketed. Why? Because their strategy finally matched their truth. So here's the question. Where in your business are you following someone else's map instead of trusting your own compass? The second truth is this. Messaging becomes magnetic when you channel it from your highest self. Think about how much noise is out there. Everyone is shouting louder, posting more often, creating more content with this urgency, all in hopes of being heard. But the truth is, you don't need to be louder. You need to be deeper. I worked with an entrepreneur who was brilliant, but all of her marketing sounded like corporate jargon. It was polished, but had no heartbeat. She kept telling me, I don't want to get too personal. I don't want to share too much. I don't want to talk about myself. But when she finally allowed herself to tell the story of losing her job and rebuilding from scratch, something shifted. People leaned in. They said, I trust you because you've lived it. And that story became the heartbeat of her brand. That's what magnetism is. Not the perfect tagline, not a polished elevator pitch. It's the resonance. So ask yourself, what part of your story are you still holding back because it feels too personal or maybe even too much? And that's usually the very thing people most need to hear from you. The third truth is this: growth becomes graceful when your systems match your frequency. So often growth feels heavy. It feels like a grind. And the reason is we're trying to scale with systems that aren't aligned with who we are. One client of mine loved high connection work. She thrived in conversations, collaborations, and co-creation. But the business model she built had her chained to pre-recorded courses and endless email campaigns. She hated it. And when she shifted to a hybrid model, part group, part one-on-one, her energy returned. She actually looked forward to her work again. And no surprise, her clients got better results too, because the system finally matched her natural way of working. The right systems don't box you in. They set you free. They create space for you to expand without burning out. And that's when growth feels graceful. So ask yourself, where do you feel the most resistance right now? That resistance? It's a signal. It's showing you where your systems are out of sync with your energy. And this is exactly why I use human design as one of the tools in my business. Because when I look at someone's energetic blueprint, when I look at their body graph, I can literally see where alignment flows naturally and where they may likely be running into walls. So let me give you an example. I worked with a client whose human design type was a projector. And if you know anything about projectors, they are not built for endless execution. Not those 80-hour work weeks, not hustle and grind. They're designed to see patterns, provide insights, and guide others. They're very wise. But she came to me in the stuck of doing. They were caught up in this execution, keeping up with client demands, always delivering, always drained. She was brilliant, but she was exhausted and on the edge of burnout as an order taker. So together we restructured how she did her business. And instead of burying herself in task, we created offerings that let her share her insights. She carved out space for her brilliance to shine and began attracting clients who valued her wisdom instead of just her output. And something shifted. She served her clients better because she was finally working in flow. She also discovered why one particular client was literally sucking the life out of her. Their energy was a mismatch. And once she could see that, she gave herself permission to step away. And here's the beautiful part. She learned how to recognize the type of clients who were life-giving, the ones who left her energized, inspired, and deeply fulfilled. And that's when her business shifted from grind to grace. And that's the power of alignment. Now, if you're listening to this and realizing this is me, this is where I'm stuck, I want you to know you don't have to figure it out alone. That's exactly the work I do in my VIP mentorships. First is called The Difference Is You. We uncover what makes you unique and help you align your strategy to it. We discover who you are, how to show up, and what to say when those big opportunities come. Impactful lifestyle design is where we find your zone of genius, your purpose, and bring your messaging into resonance. And finally, in Authentic Resonance Thought Leader, we help you step out of the shadows and into the role of the visionary change agent you were created to be, supported by systems that match how you work. And if that sounds like the shift you've been waiting for, reach out. Let's explore what alignment could look like in your next chapter. There is no greater truth to connect with others than authenticity. And that's one of the things I'll be speaking about over the next several months. First, at the Sellwell B2B Sales and Networking Conference next week as the track leader for elevating your personal brand. I'll be highlighting how authenticity can help you make more sales and win more business. And the next day, I'll be giving a breakout session on the ROI of authenticity. And it's more than what you think. Authenticity is the foundational operating principle we'll also be using in my new hybrid business circle called Beyond the Transaction. It's a blend of how we'll need to be leveraging our strategic referral partners in 2025 and beyond with a level of peer advisory that uses the eyes of a customer and the ears of a business owner to help us move our business forward. I'm looking for 12 very special founding members who would like to help write the blueprint for that over the next year. They are growth-minded B2B service providers who are tired of the traditional networking methods that no longer work. And if that sounds like someone you know, please check out the show notes for the information page to see if this might be a fit. Business stops being a grind when you stop forcing and start aligning. I recently heard a thought leader speak about how they were ditching the idea of work-life balance. The idea that something could be 50-50 is too unrealistic to imagine. I've even referenced in my life as business harmony. But what it is, it's about aligning with what flows and makes sense for you. Alignment always outperforms effort. So if you'd like to go deeper into this work, I've linked a couple of resources for you in the show notes. And I'll remind you of my ideal client workshop coming up in the next couple of weeks where you'll discover the type of clients you'll naturally attract. So I want to leave you with this question. Where in your business do you feel the most resistance right now? Because that resistance is not a barrier, it's a compass. It's pointing you towards the alignment you've been craving. So thanks for being with me today. If you enjoyed this episode and you've enjoyed this recent run that we've had of learning how people are aligning what they do with what they care about in their passions, that's when you discover that when you lean into your passion, it will reveal your purpose of what you're here to do and take you on the path to discovering your legendary self. I'll see you here next week. Thanks for joining me.